Everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the No DQ live recap of AEW Dynamite for April the 14th, 2021. This is the first night where AEW has Wednesday night all to themselves. NXT was on Tuesday night. That is the format moving forward here. This is night number 15 of 17 nights of live streaming. Crazy that I've made it this far with 15 nights of live streaming, but I would like to thank all of you guys out there watching this live for interacting in the chat room. You've been a big part of this and you've really helped me get through it, I have to say. Hamp Connor with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Hamp. He says, before you start, AEW gives away a lot of things on free TV they could be making money on. Do you think they need to start doing monthly pay-per-views? I would say no, just because AEW seems to have something good right now with the 4 pay-per-views a year. They're getting good pay-per-view buys for the shows they're doing. If they started doing 1 pay-per-view a month, the marketplace would be really oversaturated. And how could they do that anyways? Charging $50 for a pay-per-view. There's no way, even the most diehard AEW fan, I don't think would pay $50 a month for a pay-per-view. They would have to change their business model. I just don't see that working out for them at this stage of the game. With the WWE Network and the Peacock deal, people can get these pay-per-views from WWE for dirt cheap. AEW, they have a good thing going, and I think what they're doing now works for them. And they have a really good deal with TNT also. It's in AEW's best interest to have some big episodes of Dynamite that can bring in viewership on TNT. I think it's fine what they're doing, giving away Blood and Guts, the War Game style cage match, giving it for free on Dynamite. I think that's fine. And it's not a big deal if they do a big match every now and then on Dynamite. Let's go ahead and talk about Dynamite. We started off the show with a Young Bucks vignette. They recapped last week when the Bucks turned against Moxley and finally reunited with Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. The Bucks talked about how they thanked Moxley for making them realize that Don Callis was right. They needed to bring back the old Bucks, but not just that, bring back a better version of the Young Bucks. Pretty solid little opening here. And by the way, no Jon Moxley on this show, so he was selling the attack from last week. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Psycho Jet Black, who's been here practically every night, as has Michael Wayne, and I really thank you guys, those of you that have stuck around for pretty much every live stream. Who's been here? Roll call. Who has been here live every single night? Let me know in the chat room, and I'll see if I can back that up, because I'm not sure really who's been in every night. I would have to go back and look at some of the transcripts. So if I notice your name a lot, I'll take your word for it. Greg, I do believe you've been in here a lot. Israel Diaz, I know, has been in here a lot. CC Drink. Thank you all for tuning in. And Psycho Jet Black says, what you want, 6 pay-per-views a year, each costing $30? I'm fine with what they're doing. $50 for the 4 pay-per-views a year. I think it's a good format for AEW. I think that if it's not broken, don't fix it. And just go with that. Back in the day, I used to love the Big 4 format when WWE would do 4 pay-per-views a year. And AEW's doing that, and I'm fine with it. And shout out to Mike B, who's been here most nights. Uthman's been here most nights, as has Roy. And Dr. NXT Scorpio said he missed one day. I appreciate you guys for tuning in and sticking around. And again, if you would like to help out the channel, please consider spreading the word. Tell a friend. Word of mouth goes a very long way. All right. So we had a Mike Tyson promo backstage. He was going to be the special guest enforcer for Chris Jericho versus Dax Harwood. And MJF interrupted and tried to warn Tyson about Jericho, how Jericho likes to keep his friends close, but his enemies closer. And MJF was not asking Tyson to cheat, but rather to be on the right side of history. And then MJF, of course, had to make fun of Tyson's tattoo, but then offered a blank check to Tyson. Tyson just ripped it up. And even in storyline, I know MJF is supposed to be of wealth. I mean, come on now. We're supposed to believe that he's got more money than Mike Tyson with all of the fights that Mike Tyson has been in over the years. I guess MJF was just oblivious to that and was just trying to be desperate and get Tyson on his side. But yeah, Tyson ripped up the check, and that was that. The one and only Caleb Jacobs with a $20.47 super chat, a very generous one from Caleb, who's also been in almost every live stream of this consecutive run. And by the way, Ratnick, we are going live tomorrow, Thursday night, for the No DQ review. There's 17 nights. This is 15. 16 will be the No DQ review, and 17 will be SmackDown. And SmackDown will be the last one of this consecutive run. Caleb Jacobs sent in a super chat, says, man, AEW very much is an awesome alternative to WWE. I love the evolution of Tyson and Jericho since WWE. 15 of 17 live streams, not too shabby. Appreciate you tuning in, Caleb, and sticking around. We had our first match of the evening, which was the Young Bucks versus PAC and Rey Phoenix of the Dark Triangle. You had Don Callis out there on commentary, and there's a little bit of footage shown from the non-televised AEW live event. You had several tag teams, including Jurassic Express, Best Friends. They were watching in the seats, the empty seats. And this was pretty much a pay-per-view quality match. It went a long time. It went almost a quarter of the show. And it started off with Phoenix doing some flashy moves, but then the Bucks with stereo power bombs to PAC and Phoenix on the apron. They worked over PAC for a while. They mocked PAC a little bit with the hot tag, and then Matt started doing some fake crying, and that was his undoing. PAC was able to get the upper hand, tagged Phoenix, and Phoenix did all of his cool stuff. Hit a double cutter, got a near fall on Nick, and then PAC tagged in. They did some double team moves. PAC hit a blue thunder bomb and got a near fall. He should have learned from Sami Zayn that the blue thunder bomb never gets the job done. Doesn't matter who does it, it just doesn't finish a match. PAC hit a German suplex for another near fall. Nick came in, hit a destroyer to Phoenix. It was Pat and Mac in the ring going back and forth. And then Phoenix and Nick pulled them out and hit stereo poison ranas at the same time. And then back in the ring, PAC hit an avalanche brainbuster. And then Phoenix came in with a frog splash. They got yet another near fall. They still could not put away the Bucks. And then PAC hit the Black Arrow and was on the verge of winning the match. But then Nick pushed Phoenix into PAC, breaking up the pinfall attempt. And then Nick hit PAC with a low blow and ripped off Phoenix's mask. And the Bucks hit dueling super kicks to Phoenix, pinned Phoenix to score the win and retain the AEW Tag Team titles. So I know this stuff isn't everybody's cup of tea. Curtis Butler says gymnastics class that finally turned into a wrestling match. I thought the match was really entertaining. It was like a cruiserweight tag team match. So if that's your thing, lots of high flying, then you'll really enjoy the match. But if you want a slower paced match that is more about the story than the moves, then yeah, this isn't going to be your cup of tea. But I thought it was very entertaining, fun match. And I mean, you know what to expect. You tune in to a Young Bucks match, you know what you're going to get. You know what you're going to get with Phoenix, and they deliver what you expect from those guys. We had Adam Page backstage with the Dark Order, and we had John Silver there, who's rehabbing from his injury. About 4 to 6 weeks he'll be back. Mike B with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Mike B. He says, I had a question about AEW, but I can't remember what it was, so I'll give you a donation anyway. Hope Casey and Sassy are doing well. Casey and Sassy, the cats, they're doing very well. Anybody who's a cat person out there, check out my personal channel at youtube.com/AaronRift. And thank you again, Mike B. We had Chris Jericho in the Inner Circle interviewed backstage, and Jericho referred to the Pinnacle as the Pineapple again. Jericho said after they were attacked by the Pinnacle, they decided to change their ways. First thing Jericho did was call up the people that he wronged. Mike Tyson was the top of the list. Tyson talked a little bit and said he would have their backs, but he's not giving them any special favors. He will be fair but firm, and he's not taking any sides. He wished Jericho the best of luck for the upcoming match. The one and only Caleb Jacobs with a $3 super chat. Thank you again, Caleb. Says, how about the Hardys versus the Young Bucks in AEW? I'm sure Matt Hardy would love that, but as long as Jeff Hardy's under WWE contract, that will have to just be a fantasy for now. However, one day down the line, Jeff Hardy's contract expires. Never say never. We had Red Velvet versus Jade, and this, of course, has been building up for several weeks, going back to the tag team match with Cody and Shaq. Velvet went right after Jade, brought the fight to her, but Jade did get the upper hand, and Jade did a fallaway slam on the outside of the ring, sending Red Velvet over the barricade onto a group of women. And then after the commercial, Red Velvet made a bit of a comeback. She went for a moonsault, but Jade rolled out of the way and didn't quite roll far enough because Red Velvet still landed on Jade's back. And then Jade came in, hit her finisher, and picked up the victory over, I guess, a somewhat game Red Velvet. Decent match here, but not nearly as good as the opener, in my opinion. We had Britt Baker interviewed backstage with Tony Schiavone, and she showed a chart of the rankings and basically just said that she's working her way up in the rankings, and she will be wrestling on AEW Elevation and AEW Dark. And she said she's a role model. She's going to eventually be the AEW Women's Champion. And Tony Schiavone wished her luck in her future endeavors to become the Women's Champion. I see what you did there, Tony. We had the Olympian Anthony Ogogo in his first match against Colt Carter, who apparently has only been in wrestling for like 7 months. You had the Factory out there, QT Marshall's faction. By the way, no Cody on this show also. They did show footage of Cody from the live event on Friday, and he was attacked by Ogogo after he defeated Aaron Solo in a match. And this was like a really short match, maybe a minute or so. Ogogo punched Carter in the midsection, and the referee called the bell and said the winner by ref decision or ref stoppage is Ogogo. So interesting here to do this, just a punch to the midsection and the referee stops the match. Yeah, it's something different. I'll give them that. a kidney punch, as Curtis Butler says. And a $5 super chat from Javonte. He says, do you think this show impressed normal NXT viewers? Well, I feel like a lot of the NXT viewers and AEW viewers are one and the same. They're your most die-hard wrestling fans. So, yeah, I mean, I would think that the majority of NXT viewers do like AEW and vice versa. And the fans that are like, I hate AEW, but I love NXT and vice versa, that's probably a small minority. But yeah, I think anybody that doesn't watch AEW, that would regularly watch NXT, that tuned in, would probably like AEW, but not a guarantee. I mean, I feel like there might be some that are like, man, this show's just a mess. NXT is so more well-polished as a show. You know, we had a Miro vignette, and he basically just said, with or without Kip Sabian, he's going to be looking for gold. Not much here, you know, just a tease for things to come. And Michael Wayne says NXT demos and AEW demos are different. Well, yeah, I guess, you know, you got more people over 50 watching NXT, and that was their big increase this week. NXT did a little over 800,000 viewers, which is above normal for them, but not like anything close to what they were doing the first couple of weeks on USA Network. The big increase was in the over 50 crowd, which leads me to believe that there wasn't much of an increase from AEW's viewership. Anyways, moving on here, we had Chris Jericho with Sammy Guevara versus Dax Harwood with Cash Wheeler. And in this match, Tyson was the special guest enforcer, and Tully Blanchard came out there, but he had to leave. The rule was that each guy could have one person out there at ringside with them. Why even allow one person? Because you know that one person's going to interfere. So I think this is a bit silly, but whatever. We had the little hockey fight to start things off. Jericho went for a chair, and Tyson grabbed it from him, and then Dax, who they were calling Dax the Axe. You know, it took me a while to realize Dax rhymes with Axe of Demolition, and Cash rhymes with Smash of Demolition. I did not think of that for a while. So yeah, Tyson was being fair because Dax grabbed a bat and Tyson took it away from him. Jericho ended up using a pen at some point and grabbed the TV camera, you know, that routine he was doing in New Japan when he was fighting with Kenny Omega. Jericho put Dax in the Lion Tamer, and then Cash took a cheap shot when the referee wasn't looking. Sammy Guevara went after Cash, and then Jericho missed a Judas effect. Dax hit a brainbuster, got a near fall. Jericho came back from that with a code breaker. That's when the Pinnacle arrived, and Inner Circle attacked the Pinnacle. Big brawl erupted. Cash took out Sammy and then grabbed the bat, was going to use it on Jericho, but Tyson punched out Cash, and then Sammy Guevara distracted Dax, and Jericho hit Dax with the Judas effect to win the match. A lot happened in this match. A lot of moving pieces here. A lot of people getting involved. But it was a fun, entertaining match. And afterwards, Jericho did his post-match promo and announced Mike Tyson as the newest member of the Inner Circle. Now, what does this mean? Will we see Mike Tyson again on Dynamite, or is he going to disappear for another 6 months? Will Tyson actually do a match at some point? Maybe Tyson could be in the Blood and Guts match? I mean, what does this mean? What do you guys think about Mike Tyson being part of the Inner Circle? And could it be a swerve like with DX, and we see Tyson join the Pinnacle at some point? Where do you guys see this going? Do you see anything happening, or this is just something that will be forgotten about, or every 6 months or so Tyson will show up? You know, he's a so-called honorary member of DX, or not DX, I'm thinking of over 20 years ago, an honorary member of the Inner Circle. We had the Bullet Club. I guess they're the Bullet Club or Team Omega. I'm not even sure what they're calling themselves. The Elite, whatever. They cut a promo in the parking lot, and Callis channeling his inner Roddy Piper, saying, just when you think you've seen it all, you haven't seen anything. And Omega said wherever they go, gold will follow. And Matt Jackson said that the tag division has been put on notice. And Callis finished off the promo by saying, you guys wanted the old Omega and the old Young Bucks. Now you got it. And prepared to be surprised again. He then gave the cameraman a super kick. Interesting promo here from these guys, I guess. You know, kind of felt like, as Curtis Butler says, NWO Jr. definitely got that vibe from these guys. We had a Thunder Rosa video package. Good stuff here from her. And then we had Chris Statlander versus Amber Nova. Statlander, like her updated look, looking pretty good here. Booped the referee and hit a roundhouse kick and then hit her finisher, the Supernova, which is kind of like a tombstone pile driver a little bit. And good stuff here. Nice return for her. Nice comeback. Building up some momentum. We had Team Taz backstage wanting to know what was up with Christian Cage, if Christian was going to accept their offer to join Team Taz. Ricky Starks was getting impatient, and Taz said he'll get to the bottom of things. We had Christian come to the ring for an interview with Tony Schiavone. He talked about having an open contract, how he's going to outwork everybody, and he was quickly interrupted by Taz. Taz was there with Hook and Powerhouse Hobbs. Taz said he never got a return phone call. How rude of Christian, if that's true. Basically, Taz accused Christian of blowing him off. Is he in or is he out? And Cage responded by saying that he was going to do this in private later in the show. He came to AEW to win titles, and Team Taz seems to be having issues, and he said his answer is no. Taz got really pissed at this point, called Christian a shitbag, never liked Christian or his stupid buddy that carried his ass. And then Will Hobbs got in the ring, got into a fight with Christian. Hook provided a distraction, and Hobbs got the best of Christian, beat him down, and it was announced for next week, Christian one-on-one with Powerhouse Hobbs. Curtis Butler says Taz looking like a 97 Paul Heyman. Yeah, I could see that. And we finished off Dynamite with our main event, Darby Allin versus Matt Hardy in a Falls Count Anywhere match. And Matt Hardy caught Darby coming off with a springboard coffin drop using a steel chair. Matt beat down Darby with the steel chair for a while, and Darby managed to make a comeback. Darby got the chair, used it on Matt, and then we had the Hardy clan, the Hardy box office, HBO, Hardy front office, whatever the hell they're called. They all ran down, attacked Darby. Dark Order and Sting made the save. Sting was going after Private Party, and then you had Lance Archer coming down to the ring, had a little face-off with Sting, and then Lance Archer beat up Cassidy with the blackout and then took Private Party out of there. Sting threw the bat to Darby, and then Sting took his leave so it could go back to being one-on-one. But then Matt Hardy hit a low blow. Matt took Darby backstage by where Tony Khan was, and Matt laid out Darby on a table, climbed up a ladder, and did a leg drop off the ladder. However, Darby kicked out of that fall in this Falls Count Anywhere match. They fought back by the stage in the arena, and then Darby managed to get the upper hand. He grabbed the baseball bat that Sting had tossed him earlier, used it on Matt, and he cleared the table, the announce table. He He hit the monitors with the bat, and then he laid Sting on the table, climbed up this scaffold, and did a coffin drop a la Jeff Hardy, as Curtis Butler says, bit of a tribute match. Respect to the Hardy dad, who unfortunately passed away about a week ago. So RIP to him. Darby picked up the win here, and then celebrated, and that was the end of Dynamite here with a nice feel-good moment. Darby Allin still your TNT champion. The one and only Caleb Jacobs with a $7 super chat says, I would love for it to be a swerve with Mike Tyson. That would be he and Jericho's thing. Time will tell. I mean, there's definitely a lot of ways it can go. If Tyson shows up again, maybe he'll join MJF after all, or maybe he'll compete in a match at some point. I'm still thinking we're going to see Tyson in a match. Maybe Tyson and Jericho against MJF and Shawn Spears, so Spears can take the fall. Dr. NXT Scorpio says main event was really good. I agree. Overall, Dynamite was a really strong show this week. Almost felt like a mini pay-per-view, and I think that was done by design. With Dynamite now being unopposed, you want to try to hook as many people as possible, and I think they succeeded. I'm going to give the show an A-. I do think that a couple of the matches, like the main event and earlier on when you had all the factions coming down, Jericho's match, you had so many things happening, too many people out there, and it got a little bit too much. But overall, I think the show was really strong, very entertaining. So yeah, A- for me this week. Anthony says, who won? I think I'd have to go with AEW between the two shows. I think AEW slightly surpassed NXT, but both shows put on very strong showings this week, in my opinion. Lewis and Nick Lavin with an A. Mohammed and the Rap Metal Hero with B pluses. Israel Diaz also gives it a B+, as does Oofman Entertainment. Matt Helms with an A-. Tic Tat Tat with a B-, and MVP Kev with a B+. And Calvin Bowman really enjoyed the show with an A+. So there you go. Thank you guys again for tuning in. And as a reminder, we got 2 more nights of live streaming, consecutive live streaming nights. The No DQ review, which Virtue is going to have a lot to say, I'm sure, and I think everybody else will have some thoughts on WrestleMania. And then we got SmackDown coming up, post-WrestleMania SmackDown. Curtis Butler with a $5 super chat says, for the exception of Darby, baby faces are looking awful in both companies. What do you in the chat think? Well, with WWE, it's definitely the issue of stupid baby faces, and even Drew McIntyre falling for the distractions. And in AEW, I think part of the problem is that there's too many shades of gray. AEW's trying to do nobody's really a good guy or a bad guy, the old Attitude Era thought process. Although in the Attitude Era, I feel like there were clear baby faces and heels. People did switch roles a lot, but that was part of the Vince Russo Crash TV formula, to have a lot of people changing their characters around and just a lot of things happening. And I feel like Dynamite does do that at sometimes. It's kind of a mix. Sometimes they try to do the New Japan style, and then they try to do the WCW style from '97. And, they try to mix that with their own thing. And all in all, I think they do put out a pretty strong product. And yeah, this week I thought AEW definitely put on a fun show. So thank you for that, Curtis Butler. And thank you to everybody else for your super chats and your feedback and your comments in the chat. Again, spread the word, tell a friend, give this video a like, share it on social media accounts, and stay tuned for more. NoDQ.com will keep you covered. Take care, everybody. I will see you guys